my fellow Americans. If you think you know politics, think again. I'm Michael Cohen, and every week on When You Know, we're pulling back the curtain on power, politics, media, and the people making headlines. On my new WABC radio show, you'll hear conversations from names that you know. People like Jerry Falwell Jr., Anthony Scaramucci, Alan Dershowitz, and many, many more. Maybe, just maybe, we'll even hear from the president. No scripts, no spin, just real conversations with people who were in the room where it happened. And trust me, we've got some very big surprises coming. Look, I've spent years at the center of politics, controversy, and power. I know the players, I know the stories, and now I'm bringing you inside. When You Know, Sundays at 5 p.m. on WABC Radio, and When You Know Unleashed, wherever you get your podcasts. Because with me, you never know who's going to show up.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Which brings me to my next guest, John Catsimatidis. You know John Catsimatidis. He's a regular on my show. I'm a regular on his show on WABC. He also is the CEO of Red Apple Group and Red Apple Media. John Catsimatidis, thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to ask you the question I've asked all my guests so far today, which is, what the hell is wrong with the Democratic Party?
Well, we have a very serious problem.
Yes.
The Democratic Party. You know, I used to be a Democrat, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And the Democratic Party has changed since, I think it really started with Barack Obama in 2008.
Yes, I agree.
We still can't figure out how President Obama, went from neighborhood social director to state senator to United States senator to president, all within 3, 4, 5 years.
It's amazing.
And then the first thing he did when he became president, he went to Saudi Arabia and kissed the ring. Why did he do that? Who paid for his education? That has never been disclosed. But since then, and then, the other thing that happened, and President Trump, on his 45, on his first term, when President Obama left office, placed 2,000 people in key positions in every agency.
Yes.
And President Trump never learned. President Trump 45 never knew anything about it.
Right.
And then before you know it, he was being attacked in various ways, and he didn't realize it. So when President Trump was on the beach between 2021 and 2025, during that period of time, his three years on the beach or 4 years on the beach, he realized what happened. Yeah. And that Biden election, in my opinion, was not, there's a lot of holes in what happened. Yeah. It's very hard to believe.
Well, John, this may be the reason why. This may be the reason why Democrats do not want to have safe and honest elections. They're blocking voter ID, which is something 80% of Americans are in favor of, and I think they realize that they can only win, some of these races by cheating, and I think there's a lot of that going on. It's unbelievable. Trump is doing everything he can to support a bill that 80% of Americans, even blacks, they say, oh, it's racist. No, a majority of blacks, a majority of Hispanics, a majority of Asians, a majority of Democrats support this policy. It's common sense, and they won't get it done. And so now you have in New York City, where you reside and where you run your businesses, you've got a flock now of radical, I'm going to call them communists. They want to take over private property. They want the government to run the housing. They want the government to run the healthcare. They want the government to run the grocery stores. They want the government to run the energy policy. That's dangerous.
Well, I will tell you that the Socialist Party, which on a national election, even New York City election, would only get 2%, 5%, 4%, figured out that they'll take over the Democratic Party, and that's what they did. And there was not enough tough Democrats to resist them yet. And, well, this is the year that if the common sense Democrats don't stand up and resist them, they're looking to take over the entire Democratic Party for the whole country.
That's what really scares me. And by the way, at first I thought this was just a New York City thing, because I know you New Yorkers think that New York is the country, but it isn't. But we've seen in elections now throughout the country, in California, in states like Colorado, which is sort of a purple state, where the socialists are defeating the moderate Democrats. And what bothers me, John, and you were a former Democrat, is why it is that we don't see more Democrats of good faith who love our country speaking out against the Bernie Sanders socialism. I mean, my God, the reason people are coming to this country, John, is because they want to get away from socialism.
Well, you're absolutely correct there. But there are a lot of common sense Democrats, but some of them, a lot of them, are scared to stand up.
I know.
Every time in New York, every time a common sense common sense Democrat stands up against the socialists, they destroy them. You know, whether it was Carolyn Maloney on the West Side, or whether it's what was it? Was it Joe Crowley in Queens, or even Jerry Nadler? They used Jerry Nadler to destroy Carolyn Maloney, and then because he's Jewish, they knocked him out too. And who was the congressman upstate in the Foreign Relations Committee? Very nice guy. He was there for 30 years. But there's a war going on in the Democratic Party, and this is the year that they have to stand up and make sure that they resist the socialists, because this is the year.
Look, I mean, the problem, John, is so far the common sense side is losing, and the radicals are. And incidentally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe. And you tell me what your thoughts are about. I'm talking to John Catsimatidis. Of course, he's the CEO of Red Apple Media. He's the owner of WABC and a very, very successful businessman. But I do believe the communists in China are funding a lot of this anti-America crusade.
Well, that Chinese guy that's funding the American citizen in China, I think it's Chinese money going through him.
I do too.
And the same thing on the East Coast. Whatever American citizens they find, they fund them. Whether it's one of the Arab countries or who they are. But I believe that the FBI is finally looking into it, and they should look into it. And if Jay Clayton is in charge of the CIA and the FBI, then I think he knows what's going on, and he'll be a force to be reckoned with to make sure that foreign money doesn't go in and corrupt our elections.
So, John, you are, among many other things, a very successful businessman. You run grocery stores, and your new mayor, Mandami, wants the government to run the grocery stores. So far, they're not off to a very good start. Explain to our listeners why this is a very bad idea to have the government run the grocery stores.
Well, first of all, it's taking the other local grocery stores and hurting them a great deal.
Yes.
And I know that the bodegas...
By the way, many of those are run by immigrants.
Well, yeah, Hispanics run a lot of them. A lot of them. And they're being hurt. My recommendations to the mayor was that maybe that, and I said it on Fox last week, that if he wants to reduce the price of eggs or reduce the price of bread or any other specific items, because he made a point of that, is maybe if you want to reduce the price of eggs by $1 a dozen, give a credit of $1 off their real estate taxes,
right,
and let the grocers reduce it by $1 a dozen.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, of course, is now they want to take over the housing in the country. There was an article in the, I think it was the New York Times or New York Post, about now people are paying their rent, because if you tell people they can't be evicted, they're not going to pay their rent.
Well, in New York, we have NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority, funded by the federal government. And there's 300,000 apartments, and 40% of those apartments, they're not paying the rent.
That's
so
ridiculous.
If you have affordable housing, and they don't pay the rent, what are you going to do? Make them homeless?
Yeah.
So there's no solution.
So, John, just in our one last minute, 1 minute before we have to take a hard break, I'm talking to John Catsimatidis. Are you optimistic that Americans will reject this? Because, I'm nervous about it. I mean, they keep winning elections all over in the country. Our friend John Fund says, well, there's been low turnout in a lot of these races, but I don't think Americans want to move towards socialism. I really don't.
I agree with you 110%.
Yeah.
They don't want to go towards socialism. And I think this is the year that things have to turn. And the fact is that, look at what happened. Alan Dershowitz, a lifelong Democrat.
Yeah.
I guess converted to a independent. Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, converted to an independent. He doesn't want to call himself.
Yeah.
And even who was President Clinton's right-hand guy? Starts with a C.
I'm not sure who you're talking about, but
oh yeah. One of President Clinton's aides. I'll remember the name. It's
Rahm Emanuel has been really critical of what the Democrats are doing.
Rahm Emanuel wants to run for president, and he says he could be a common sense Democrat.
Well, he would be. He was a pretty good.
Yeah.
John. I'm from Chicago. He was a very good mayor of Chicago. I know Rahm. He and I went to the same high school. I don't always agree with him on everything, but he was a competent, moderate as mayor. And now, Chicago has a left-wing mayor too. The same thing's happening in New York, in Seattle, in Chicago, and Los Angeles. John, our big cities are in big trouble.
You're absolutely correct. And I don't know what the heck is going on in Chicago, but your Pritzker, who a billionaire himself, his family is worth $12 billion, is running Illinois. So I think President Trump sent out a tweet that during the Iranian war, that 270 or 273 Chicago inner city youth died during that period of time.
It's terrible. Terrible.
And he wants to send in, and President Trump wants to send in people to help keep the minorities and Chicago peaceful. And your governor, the governor.
They're the ones, by the way, John, the minorities are the ones who are being shot. That's what's so tragic about this. John, we got to pay the bills here. You know that as an owner of a radio station. Thanks for coming on now, John Catsimatidis.